We're joined now by Azadeh Pourzand, Iran women's rights and equality researcher at the University of London. Azadeh, thank you very much for joining us. There's been activism for many, many years in Iran. What makes this different?
Yes, as you rightly point out, there has been activism for many years. The Iranian women's rights movement, for example, is over 100 years old in Iran. But I think what is very unique about this round of protests is that women are in the center. Women have been at the forefront of protests before, but in this one, women are the center. Their body, their right to their body, which is a symbol for their demands for larger pool of rights and freedoms, is at the center of essentially a nation's uprisings. And as also your report said, that the slogan "Women, Life, Freedom" is essentially a symbol that a nation has come to a point where they believe that for as long as the women are not free, the nation cannot be freed. And so essentially women's rights is now completely intertwined at a national level for a better future, and the demand for essentially, as the slogans say, regime change in the end. So it's women at the center of a highly political protest demanding for fundamental change.
One of the catalysts, of course, has been the death of Mahsa Amini. You mentioned the fact that it's more than just a women's movement now, but how important is it that men are seen out on the streets taking part alongside those women?
I believe it's critical. Their presence on the street, the way they play the role as the support role, advocating for women's rights, but also finding common grounds with women who are on the streets, again, chanting out slogans that has to do with the future of all of them, not only women, is incredibly powerful, and I would say must be quite alarming to the establishment, to the Islamic Republic, as it threatens its survival. The Islamic Republic, like most authoritarian regimes, has benefited from divide and conquer. So women would, defend their own rights, minorities would defend their own rights, workers would defend their own rights, but they would not defend each other's rights. And we see now on the streets men advocating for women, Tehran advocating for a Kurdish girl who was killed. Right now we see sectoral level mobilization for strikes. So workers coming in the scene, the intellectual and the cultural class coming also into the scene more heavily than before. So this essentially is a coalition building on a street level, which is, I would say, unprecedented in post-revolutionary Iran.
Of course, the people that we see are involved in protests of various different types, are advocating for change. What proportion of Iranian society, though, doesn't want this change, is content to continue as it is?
In the absence of a democratic environment where, for example, different kinds of pollings that can take place away from the fear of repression, that journalism is not free, then the flow of information is not free. I am personally hesitant to refer to any kind of numbers or percentages. But what I would say is that Iran is a pluralistic society in every sense of the word pluralism. Of course, people have different opinions, different political views and visions, and different religious backgrounds and ideologies. So, but what you see on the street, I think, is a significant enough portion of the population, with the youth at the center of it and women at the center of it, which are essentially key for survival of any government. And I am sure, for example, there are Iranians who say yes to the invitation of the supreme leader to go to the Friday prayers and so on. However, the population that we see today, that's visible in all these visual footages, is in my opinion, larger than ever. So that's I think what's here is in question. And also, even when we talk about compulsory veil, don't forget that there are at times women who would have been voluntarily veiled, but they are still there chanting out for the rights of other women who wouldn't want to wear the veil. So it's not just that these are secular women who don't believe in religion, or men that are secular. It's about not wanting the imposition and the repression and the violence and the humiliation that comes with a set of rules from top, basically.
Yeah, that's real freedom of expression, isn't it? Azadeh Pourzand from the University of London, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.